Hey guys, Sandy here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are still in the middle of 100 sketchy videos and follow a sketch February. I am going to be scrapbooking these 4 ride photos. They're, where you take a picture of the photo on the wall. That's what we did. We're using this page map sketch today, and can you believe it? I'm scrapbooking Disney photos with actual Disney-esque products. So let's see what I can do. The first thing I decide to do is add some white acrylic paint to my layout. And that is because I want to tone down this background ever so slightly. I know that I'm going to be covering up a lot of it, but I still want to add this white layer on the bottom. And what I'm doing is I'm using a cheap dry paintbrush. This is one of those 25-cent jobbies you used to be able to pick up at the Home Depot. It's been years and years and years since I bought this brush, so I don't know. I'm sure they're more than 25 cents now. But this is the only brush I use for this particular white paint. It's because I dry brush it on. I don't clean the brush. I don't do anything other than wipe off the paint. Now, I decided to add a little bit of a texture with my brush there instead of just having straight lines. And it does give a little bit of texture to it. It's not an extreme amount, but it's a little something. Now I decided, this was a little damp still, so I grabbed my heat gun and went ahead and ran it over it just ever so slightly. I'm going to grab the mandala stencil here from Scrapping Reflections and use it to create a little bit of a fun effect, kind of where these circular elements are. I just kind of wanted to figure out where my layout was actually going to go and how it was going to be on the page. So I just did that, and now I'm using some Stickles glitter gel, and this is in dark matter. It's a little goopy because it's got some big glitter in it. You can see those bigger circular bits coming through. Now I am using my palette knife that I only use for glitter glaze. I always recommend getting yourself a palette knife that you're just going to use for your glitter glaze. And that's because no matter how much you wipe it off, there's still going to be glitter, and it will eventually layer up. Unless you are so super good about taking your palette knife and taking it to running water and washing it off that way, but who wants to do that? I don't want to do that. I'm going to wipe it off with my paper towel and throw it back on my holder and move on. But if you do, if you wash it off every single time and it's pristine, then, use whatever palette knife you want. But I always suggest just using one dedicated for the glitter glaze. So I am going to also put some of the stencil on this side where that second circular bit is. So I'm going to peel that off. It's going to dry a little bit, and in the meantime I'm going to map my photos. So I picked out this red cardstock, and I have no idea where this red cardstock came from. It's really thick, like it's thicker than the rest of my red cardstocks. It's one sheet. It probably came in a card kit or something. I'm not sure. So I'm just going to mat all of these photos down, and the photos aren't exactly cut down to the size that is referenced here on the sketch. I just kind of cut them down to where I thought, they looked decent. So these are already messed up photos because I'm taking a photo of a screen. But I figured it's still a memory, and all of these photos can go together on a page, and yet one more layout is done in Lana's birthday album, and I don't have to do 4 separate layouts about 4 janky ride photos. So I go ahead and trim that down, and either my photo was crooked or my cardstock was crooked, but we just fudged it a little bit right there, so you can't really tell. And I'm just trimming it down with my mini guillotine trimmer. And the cardstock is super thick, you guys, so it's a struggle a little bit. I don't know if you can see it because I do have the video sped up, but it is a struggle to get that stuff trimmed down. So it's all trimmed down now, and I'm kind of looking at this and thinking, what am I going to do? Now, my original thought was I'm going to pop these bad boys up, and I'm going to tuck in that viewfinder thing right there. I'm going to cut it in half and tuck it under. And since this is chipboard, I need to pop my photo up a little bit. Well, that idea, straight out the window. I completely forgot about it while I was trying to figure out where my photos were going to go. I decided to add the adhesive to my doily and get that in place. I don't press down on it just yet, just because I'm trying to figure out where the photos need to go. And putting the mat on the photos kind of messed it up for me. It messed up my spacing. I didn't even think that I was going to mat the photos when I was trying to figure out my spacing in the beginning. So I was like, oh, this isn't going to work. So what I decide to do, see, I covered up so much of that beautiful glitter, that beautiful Stickles glitter gel. So I couldn't do that. So what I'm going to do is peel off some of the fun, foamy dot rectangle things. My words are gone. And then I'm going to leave some of them on, and what I'm going to do is overlap the photos. So in the sketch, the photos don't overlap at all. They all have their own little thing going on, but for my layout to make it work the way I want it to, we're going to overlap the photos. And I love the way the layout turns out, and that's all that matters, right? So we're going to change up the sketch a little bit. So I decide to tuck this photo underneath as well, just because there's, you know, a little bit of a gap right there. Now, if you guys have been to both Disney World and Disneyland, you'll know that Space Mountain, which is that photo on the left there, the rides are two totally different rides. So in Space Mountain and Disneyland, you sit next to somebody. In Space Mountain and Disney World, you sit in a straight line. And I do have to say, I am a fan of the Disney World Space Mountain way more than the Disneyland Space Mountain. If you ever have the opportunity to go to Disney World with me, you should, and you should ride Space Mountain with me, because I love that ride so much, and it gives me such joy that I laugh the entire time. I laugh so hard I have tears by the time the ride is over. I am sure some of the people that end up in the straight line with us don't appreciate it, but there are some that I guess the joy is so infectious they start laughing too. So there's been a couple times where we've had the entire line of people laughing with us, so that's a good time. So now that I have that down, and now I'm just trying to figure out what my title is going to be. And I was thinking, you know, pre-made title, and then I was like, what are you doing, Sandy? You need to reference that these are photos somehow. You need to do this. So I find this little camera, and I love the little camera. Even though the teal in the paper, the blue is teal in the paper, and the blue in the camera is a bright blue, I'm going with it. This is one of those times where it's going to be my little pop of color that doesn't really go with the other stuff that's in the layout. So any of the other stuff that I add to the layout is going to have that tealy blue, because that's the blue companies use when they make Disney-esque, you know, products. That's what happens. But I'm going to pull out these Chamel thickers, and I chose those because it matches the blue in the camera, and I feel like that can be like an entire cohesive thought right there. Now, I do cut down that T to make a photo. I think it's a J or something like that, but that's fine. You know, you gotta Frankenstein up your letters sometimes. So I'm gonna add some of those foam rectangles on the back of the camera and pop that up over top of the photos. So now I have photo, and I need to finish the title. I was going to call it Janky Photo, but I decided not to. I decided to use these authentic letter stickers, and I'm pretty sure these are Christmas from a couple years ago. and I just spell out, "Oh, what a photo." And I'm not using A's, I'm using V's upside down, and they read as A's, and since I'm not using one A and one upside down V, it reads more of an A than like if I had one true A and one upside down V. I hope that makes sense. So now I'm going to use my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. I'm going to stick down the thickers because you and I both know the thickers don't stick, especially the cardboard ones or chipboard ones. So I get those down, and now my title is done. So now it's just time for a little bit of embellishing. And I'm kind of doing my own thing with embellishing. I'm not really paying attention to the sketch and where the sketch embellishments are. I like this Say Cheese chipboard over top of the title. Instead of having something where that date is over next to that photo down there on the right hand side, I decided to put it on the left hand side with this little word thing that says "so much fun," because I didn't want to cover up more of the glitter gel because it's pretty and it's sparkly and I love it. Now I'm just trying to figure out what else I'm going to do. I did feel like I needed to fill in that little blank space right there, so I decided to go back to my chipboard, and I have a red heart and a yellow star. Again, using my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive because chipboard not sticking is not just an American Crafts thing. It's a Simple Stories thing too. I think it's every scrapbooking manufacturer thing. So I put that down there, and then I decide that I need to add a little bit of fun up at the top as well. Now, since this is going in Lana's album, there is going to be a Mickey head on every single page. I decided to put the Mickey head on now instead of when I'm finalizing the book, just because I like it, and I had an idea of where I wanted it to go. I'm going to pop out one more of these chipboard yellow stars and put them right there. And now I'm looking at this and I'm trying to figure out, do I want to add any more rhinestones? So I pulled out my little bits of brads. I decided, nope, I like it the way it is. I'm just going to add the date here, and that is going to do it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for joining me, especially for Follow a Sketch February. If you want to play along, if you want to see the sketches, go ahead and click the link down below to get yourself into the Scrapping Reflections Facebook group. We would love to have you. It is so awesome seeing what everyone is coming up with. And I will see you guys again real soon for another video.